Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to the family. And if you are a returning subscriber, you know what to do. You know the vibes. You know what I'm doing. Today I'm back with another episode of You Said I Said the Unspoken. To know more about it, please go to the previous episode so that you understand what the whole episode or segment is about. So on today's episode, today's topic is toxic masculinity, right? So stay tuned, like, share, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let me introduce my guest.
Hi guys, I'm Malcolm. I am your girl Nthabeleng here, and I'm here to talk with y'all about toxic masculinity.
Oh my! How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How do you feel about today's topic, like toxic masculinity? How do you feel about it?
It's been something that I want to talk about.
I remember when I asked you, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to talk about this, and you're giving me the platform. I'd love to be with you. That's why I knew you were the perfect person for it. So, to you, what does it mean? Like, what does toxic masculinity mean to you?
To me, it's when toxic masculinity to me means when men aren't allowed to have feminine traits. For when men aren't allowed to express themselves in maybe a more feminine or maybe a more, how do I say this, comfortable way with themselves. When they have to live up to a certain stereotype of how men should be.
So the stereotypes that are, I'd say, portrayed by the society.
Yes, stereotypes of men portrayed by society.
So, like, I hear, like, with toxic masculinity, you think when you experience it as a person or like as a male, it's from our perspective, we don't understand how it feels. So, how does it affect? Like you or the other person?
Well, interesting question. For different people, it has a different effect. Because some men have been taught by years and years and years of suppressing their feelings, of expressing themselves because of toxic masculinity over the years. So some men has come to terms with not being more feminine, and some men have come to terms with it's okay if I just be a little bit more extra. So that's why I say it has a different effect on different people. But most of all, the effects would be negative. Because of toxic masculinity, people feel the need, or males feel the need to not express themselves as freely as they would want to. And not being able to express yourselves never makes you happy. It would always just feel like there's this part of me that I can't show the world, that I'm too scared to show the world, that I'm too scared to open up about. And just because I'm too scared, I will not talk about it. I will just suppress it and just move on with my life. And suppressing that, it has a very ugly effect on people.
Because I feel like doesn't it build up, and it causes now unnecessary anger within.
Definitely. Yes. It builds up the fact that you can't express yourself how you want to, the fact that you can't open up about certain things. And then at some point it just gets too much for you, and that could lead to a heavy either depression or anxiety, because you're scared constantly of if I just say or open up about this thing, then people will label me as vulnerable or as a sissy.
So that
it builds up.
According to you, or how you see it at the moment, do you think it comes from females? Like, do you think maybe the words, no, men are not supposed to cry, no, men don't act like this, do you think it comes from males or females more?
Ooh, So, where I personally feel like it might have originated from, this is just my personal view on it, is from, maybe from a woman, because some women feel like I don't want my man to be emotional, to be vulnerable, to express his feelings. I want a manly man that's tough, that's a rock, that just doesn't come to me with a puppy face and is emotional all the time. So what I think could have happened is a man maybe once like had a woman and he wanted to open up to his woman, his girl, and then she was just like, I don't want the sissy man around me, I want a strong man, a strong, emotionally strong man. And then from there on, it just carried down from generation to generation to generation that men aren't supposed to cry, men aren't supposed to talk about their feelings, men are supposed to be this hard rock beings.
Brave, and
they should be brave, they should be the ones who like never complain, they should just deal with it, they can't open up, they should just suppress everything and move on with their lives. So it originated from some guy just feeling like, I'm not gonna let my next generation be as girly as I was, because look what happened to me. Maybe I just,
I get you. And like when you look at the stats, okay, you find out that the males have the most suicide rates. Do you think that toxic masculinity might be one of the causes?
Definitely. That's a definite yes. Toxic masculinity has an ugly way of eating at males. Because we can't express ourselves. We can't talk about it. Sometimes all a guy just needs is to be able to talk about his problems. Toxic masculinity stops a male from talking about feelings in general. Because when guys meet up, it's either cars or girls or sports. I don't want to generalize that because not all men talk about just those things, but that's the societal norm that men would talk about, for men to talk about. But then toxic masculinity stops men from speaking about feelings. And suppressing those feelings and not being able to get it off your chest, it has a negative impact on you, which could lead to a heavy depression. And having depression could lead to you committing a suicide. And that's the sad reality.
It is actually a very sad reality. So I'm going to read something to you. I think I'm going to read like 2 sentences from, I'll say people who oppress males. So, okay, the first one is, I hear you describe masculinity as bad and toxic, and I can only conclude to say you are anti-male, and all that you see is men as bad and toxic. Like, meaning we hide behind toxic masculinity to say that men are toxic, men are bad. You know, that's the first one. And the second one now is, I hear you wanting to eliminate masculinity, and I say that will make boys weak, lazy, and fearful. What do you think of those 2 statements?
I don't want to swear on your channel. I think it's absolute BS.
Especially the last one.
So, especially the last one. Oh, that hit a spot there. Okay, so regarding the first one, men, there's a difference between toxic masculinity and toxic men. Yes, men can be toxic. Just being selfish in a way, just where they want someone for themselves and not wanting to share that person. That's a toxic man. Toxic masculinity is the feeling, or it's just what men experience that make them emotionally shut down or emotionally close off.
Like it's like maybe you setting now a barrier, putting a barrier, like you cannot.
You can't be this.
Yeah.
You can't express yourself like this. You can't talk about your feelings like this. It's a barrier.
Yeah.
You close yourself off at the point where it becomes more emotional or more expressive.
Okay. Alright, now the last statement. We had 2 statements. Now the last one, I'm going to repeat it. Okay. I hear you wanting to eliminate masculinity. And I say that will make boys weak, lazy, and fearful. What's your take?
This makes me mad. It frustrates me because men can be just as emotional as a woman can be.
Okay.
Women can also be just as emotionally closed off as a man.
Okay.
The fact that this person thinks that if men aren't masculine, that they will be lazy, weak, and fearful is the furthest from the truth ever. Because a man can be open to express himself and can be open to talk about what he's feeling inside without him being weak, being fearful, and being lazy.
Yeah.
A man can open up about his feelings, and with him doing that, he's actually being stronger. Because it takes a stronger man to open up about his feelings.
Repeat.
It takes a stronger man to open up about his feelings than a man that closes off his feelings. Because men that close off their feelings because of they have to be masculine is just hiding behind a wall, hiding behind a barrier that they themselves built up or that they have been fed to hide behind.
Okay.
But a man can express and talk about his feelings without him being weak.
It does not
It
make
means
him weak. It does
he's
not.
stronger because he has the guts to open up about something that he wouldn't normally open up about.
Alright, so toxic masculinity versus positive masculinity. Maybe we can you can give us 2 examples of positive masculinity and 2 examples of toxic masculinity. Just so that a person who doesn't know or who's it's their first time hearing about toxic masculinity, what is that? How we can make an example.
Yeah. So if I can make the examples for toxic masculinity first. So an example, a classic example of toxic masculinity is fathers telling their sons that they can't cry. Son, don't cry, you look like a sissy. Go be a daughter to your mother if you cry now. You're a guy, you're a man.
Yeah.
That's a classic example of toxic masculinity. And then another example of toxic masculinity is men getting uncomfortable around people that talk about their feelings.
Yeah. Like men themselves.
Men themselves.
Okay.
Getting uncomfortable or wanting to leave when the conversation starts getting deep. When the conversation really gets deep, men get uncomfortable, and that's all because of toxic masculinity, because men has been fed and has been told that talking about feelings and being in a company where a conversation is deep isn't manly.
Okay.
That's 2 classics of toxic masculinity.
Positive.
Positive masculinity is basically when a man isn't afraid to just talk about his feelings. That's a good example. Men should open up. Indoda iyakhala. Men can also cry.
Yeah. Talking about in the iyakhala, I remember we got something ago. We were part of like a play or drama. Yes, addressing, part of it was actually toxic masculinity, right? Because the guy actually ended up committing suicide because, you know, of his feelings and stuff. And you were there representing, you know, I'll put like a picture so I will see you. Yeah. How did that make you feel? You know that you're part of something like that.
Well, it made me feel good because I went out with a sign saying that I am suffering from society.
Yes. Oh my God.
Society has basically been the biggest factor in what has made toxic masculinity what it is today. Because of society, men has gotten the idea that they shouldn't be weak or vulnerable. So me just saying society is making me suffer because I can't express myself, I can't talk about my feelings. That meant a lot to me because I said that it's not right and we should end it. My exact words while holding that sign was, let's put an end to toxic masculinity. That was my exact words. And it was because of the sign saying I'm suffering from society. Because society has implemented toxic masculinity on men, and I'm saying we should end that. We should put a stop to it.
I love it. So we're almost at the end, but before we finish off now, let's give any last words or any advice to someone suffering from society. So we're going to do this both ways. We're covering someone's suffering from society, and then now we are talking to you who's making me suffer. Understand, like, what can you change? And to you who's suffering from this, how can you like make yourself feel better? You know. So what do you say to the person who's now suffering from toxic masculinity?
To the person suffering because of society and what society has implemented in them regarding toxic masculinity, I just want to say, with my one friend, he got someone that he felt comfortable around. And that allowed him to open up. And because he was able to open up, he suppressed less and he was a more happier person. So to a person that's suffering from society, find yourself a safe spot or find yourself a safe person that you trust, that you can open up to. And if there is literally no one, just talk with yourself. Talk and get what you feel just out into the world so that it doesn't stay inside. But my biggest advice would be just find someone that you can confide in. Find someone that won't think you are weak or vulnerable or not man enough because you're talking about your feelings. Find someone like that that actually cares enough to listen to your problems. Find someone like that.
Okay.
Oh.
And now to you who's making me suffer, what can you say to that person?
Personally, I've had a friend that has told me that, why do you dress so girly? Or why are you talking about your emotions so much? Why do you always go sit with girls and not with the boys? Why do you do this with your hands? Or like, I've had people tell me that I'm too feminine.
Okay.
And to those people that's making me suffer because I can't express myself, I feel like you're not growing as a person. If you allow yourself to get past a point of you being hard-headed about something, you grow as a person. If you allow yourself to open up or to just not be a bad person, to choose, make the choice to be a better person, that will help you to grow as a person. You will literally feel better and you won't make others feel bad. Because I personally never understood why making someone else feel bad made another person feel good. That shouldn't be a thing, that's not right. If you make someone else smile, then you should smile, that should make you smile. And then you know you're a good person. You should grow, always want to grow as a person. Make the better choice, not to hurt someone or not to say something ugly to someone. Make the choice to not do that. And then you as a person will grow.
Nice. I love this. Thank you for coming. We loved having you on the channel. Show the audience that I love having you. You are amazing, and I hope we just need one person to learn from this. I think that's all we need. Is that learn from figure out yourself first, right? Figure out yourself. Live for you. I think now in the modern days now that we're living in, people are starting to be brave. Don't you think? Like slowly people are starting to like express themselves more and just forget about society for a bit. Society is toxic. That's what's toxic, So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Say bye to my people.
Bye.
Bye.
So guys, thank you for listening to this episode. I just want to end this episode off with saying that if you are someone that is making someone else suffer, notice and realize that you are making this person unhappy. Notice that you are making this person suffer. And try to better yourself. Try to end the cycle. Because it's a cycle. You yourself, if you make someone else hurt, are hurting or have been hurt. End the cycle. Stop toxic masculinity. Be the change in the world that you want to see. Be the change.